Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Clay, and I am the Bucks believer. Tonight, the Bucks evened up their NBA Finals series against the Phoenix Suns at 2 games apiece because of a massive 109-103 victory on the backs of some huge performances from Giannis Antetokounmpo and Khris Middleton. Aside from the fantastic exploits of those two players, the main reason why the Bucks were able to win this game was because they dominated the battle of possessions. The Suns had 17 turnovers and just 5 offensive rebounds, while the Bucks limited their turnovers to just 5 while grabbing 17 offensive boards. This led to Milwaukee taking 19 more shots than Phoenix throughout this game. That was able to offset the fact that the Bucks shot the ball really poorly, shooting just 40% from the field and 24% from 3. That's genuinely one of the worst shooting nights a team can have, and when you look at those numbers alone, you'd think the Bucks lost this game, but because of those extra possessions, they were able to completely cancel out the fact that the Suns shot the ball much better, shooting 50% from the field and 30% from the three-point line. The Bucks forced the Suns into some uncharacteristic errors, as Chris Paul had 5 turnovers and Devin Booker had 4. That led to the Bucks getting some easy baskets in transition, and the Suns were not able to get those same type of looks at the rim because they were not able to force the Bucks into those same errors. The same can be said of the offensive glass. The Suns made a lot of mistakes, failing to hit box outs, and that led to the Bucks getting some easy second chance points on tip-ins by Brook Lopez and Giannis Antetokounmpo. Antetokounmpo in particular did a great job on the offensive glass in this game, en route to grabbing 14 rebounds. Overall, it was just really good to see the Bucks continue to play smart basketball as they've done throughout the finals, as they've dominated the possession ball game in each of the past 3 games, and it's a big reason why they were able to win this one. However, you can't win a game just based off of offensive rebounds and forcing turnovers alone. You need to convert your opportunities on the offensive end of the court, and Khris Middleton did a fantastic job of that for the Bucks today, as he had a particularly clutch performance en route to this Bucks win. Middleton had 14 points in the fourth quarter alone, and he made some huge shots as he had 10 straight points for Milwaukee as he led the Bucks from a 99-97 deficit all the way to a 107-101 lead, making some free throws that really iced off this victory for the Bucks. Middleton was consistently terrific for the Bucks in this one, as he made a couple incredibly difficult shots throughout the course of the game, en route to scoring 40 points on 15 for 33 shooting from the field, 3 for 8 shooting from the three-point line, and 7 for 8 shooting from the free throw line. Middleton has stepped up every time the Bucks have needed him throughout this playoff run, and tonight was no exception, as that fantastic fourth quarter was really a key reason why Milwaukee was able to come away with this win. Middleton also did a nice job throughout the game of taking advantage of some mismatches against the Suns' smaller players. He was a big reason why the Phoenix's best player tonight in Devin Booker was in foul trouble throughout the game, as whenever Booker was on Middleton, Khris did a nice job of being aggressive and attacking him, trying to draw those fouls. Middleton also did a nice job of posting up campaign and creating some easy turnaround jumpers for himself when he was guarded by Phoenix's smaller guard. In addition to this fantastic performance from Middleton, the Bucks also got a ton from Giannis Antetokounmpo. Antetokounmpo wasn't nearly as great on the offensive end of the court as he was in games 3 and 2. Don't get me wrong, he still had a terrific night, scoring 26 points on 11 for 19 shooting, but in general, the area where he was able to make the most impact was on the defensive end of the court, and that's especially true when you consider the single play that was the biggest standout for Antetokounmpo in this game. With 1 minute and 14 seconds remaining in this game for the Bucks, they were sitting with a 2-point lead, but it was far from clear whether or not they'd be able to hang on to that. The Suns ran a play that they had run frequently throughout the game, running a difficult pick and roll look to guard, and the ball ended up with Jay Crowder in the wing. Crowder ended up attacking a closeout and finding himself on his way to the basket with a rolling DeAndre Ayton wide open. Crowder threw up a lob to Ayton, and it looked like DeAndre was going to be able to convert that for an easy 2 points, tying up the score. But then Giannis made one of the greatest defensive plays of the past decade, rising up and rejecting that alley-oop slam from Ayton. This led to a run out for the Bucks and Middleton making a huge shot for Milwaukee. So What an incredible play by Giannis. This is one that's going to go down in the history books. I don't think that it's as memorable as the chase down block by LeBron James on Andre Iguodala in Game 7 of the Finals a few years ago, but I certainly would put it in the same tier as Bam Adebayo's block on a Jason Tatum layup in last year's Eastern Conference Finals. So really just an incredible play from Antetokounmpo, and it was really just the cherry on the top of what was a fantastic defensive night for the Greek Freak. Today, Brook Lopez only played 19 minutes. That's a trend we've seen Coach Mike Budenholzer going toward more and more throughout this playoff run, as he's gone to a smaller lineup with Giannis Antetokounmpo at the 5 and Pat Connaughton joining the starters on the court in the place of Brook Lopez. With Brook out of the game, that leads Giannis as the 5-man, and he's in charge of protecting the basket. And today, Giannis did that as well as you possibly could have asked him to. He came away with 3 steals and had 2 blocks, making a tremendous impact as a deterrent at the basket. The Suns got off to a quick start in the first quarter, as they had 14 points in the paint in that quarter alone. However, after that quarter, they were forced to settle for jump shots, and that led to Phoenix really struggling at times throughout this game. The Bucks struggled to hit shots, as I said, but because of Phoenix's inability to get to the basket, they weren't able to pull away, and Giannis's rim protection was a big reason for that. Everything that the Bucks got from Giannis and Khris was absolutely necessary, because if they wouldn't have done everything they did, Devin Booker certainly would have dragged Phoenix to a victory tonight. Booker had maybe the best game of the playoffs so far for him, as he had 42 points and was very efficient, shooting 17 for 28 from the field and 8 for 9 from the free throw line. Booker did a great job of hunting out mismatches in this game, and in particular, he was picking on Pat Connaughton quite frequently. Booker did a great job of drawing the player that Connaughton was guarding, usually Jay Crowder or Cam Johnson, into the primary action and forcing the Bucks to switch Connaughton onto Booker instead of Milwaukee having their preferred defender in PJ Tucker or Drew Holiday. From there, Booker was able to use his dribble moves to create a little space, and from there, D-Book knocked down tough jumper after tough jumper in the mid-range, and there wasn't too much more Pat Connaughton could have done, as D-Book just had it going tonight, and that led to him having this enormous performance. In addition to attacking the switches, Booker was also able to score against the 2 preferred defenders for the Bucks in Holiday and Tucker. He did a really nice job of creating contact with Tucker in particular, as PJ got into foul trouble as well, limiting him to around 30 minutes, I believe, as Tucker had 5 fouls for a large portion of the fourth quarter. Booker was fantastic, and I don't really know if there's a way that the Bucks can guard him much better than they did tonight. Perhaps they could go back to the drop coverage that they've done previous in this series instead of switching so many actions. That would prevent Booker from getting the mismatch against Connaughton as frequently as he did tonight, but in general, I think they're just going to have to count on D-Book missing some more of those contested mid-range jump shots that seem to fall for him every single time tonight. As I talked about before, Booker did a great job of hunting out Pat Connaughton on switches, but other than his poor defense on Booker, this was another fantastic performance from Pat Connaughton. He doesn't impact the game in as noticeable of a way as Giannis or Khris, but he certainly does do a lot to help the Bucks win games. Today, Connaughton had 11 points and 9 rebounds while shooting 3 for 7 from the three-point line. One of those 3 three-pointers that he made was a huge 3 to cut the Suns' lead from 5 points to 2 points with 3 minutes remaining in this game. That was really a momentum shifter for the Bucks, and it put them in the position to go on the big run that they did with Middleton scoring the 10 straight points. So a huge shot there from Connaughton, and he was consistently big for the Bucks in this game, as he came away with a bunch of huge defensive rebounds as well as a really nice putback on the offensive glass. Overall, Connaughton's been great for the Bucks throughout this playoff series. If you've been watching this channel during the playoffs, you absolutely know that I'm a huge fan of what he's done as a role player for Milwaukee, and I think it's important that he continues to play at the high level that he has in this series going forward. as well as the Bucks having all these players having fantastic games like Giannis and Khris and Pat. There were some Bucks that struggled in this one, and Drew Holiday was chief among them. Holiday had 13 points, but was super inefficient, going just 4 for 20 from the field and 0 for 5 from the three-point line. Once again, I thought that Holiday had a pretty good game attacking the basket, as he was able to use his speed as well as his physicality to get to the rim. He had those everything but the finish plays multiple times in this game, and it was so frustrating to see Drew just fail to convert on those bunnies. Holiday did make a bunch of huge plays defensively as he came away with 3 steals and once again did a fantastic job of pressuring Chris Paul and Devin Booker full court as he consistently was making those guys uncomfortable. However, Holiday does need to be much better for the Bucks on the offensive end, as he hasn't really given them much at all in this series other than a few big three-pointers in Game 3. So whether or not Drew's able to improve his shooting is key for the Bucks, and really, I think that the shooting in general is the most important bullet point for Milwaukee to focus on in the next game. They're not going to shoot 40% from the field and 24% from 3 in every single game. And as long as they continue to force Phoenix into those turnovers and grab the offensive rebounds at the rate they have, we should see some regression back to the mean in terms of the Bucks' three-point shooting. That means they should leap up towards that 38% mark they were at during the regular season instead of being in the mid to low 20s. If that happens, watch out, because the Bucks were still able to win tonight's game despite them not hitting any shots throughout the course of this game. We'll see what happens as the series shifts back to Phoenix. Home court has certainly been a huge advantage in this series thus far, but I feel pretty good about the Bucks' chances. They have to improve the defense on Booker, they have to hit some shots, but if that happens, I give Milwaukee a really good chance to steal a game on the road and potentially have a chance to close Phoenix out in Game 6 at the Fiserv Forum. Be sure to let me know what you thought of this video in the comment section down below and what you thought of this game in general. Thank you all for watching to this point. It's been a lot of fun to ride out these playoffs, and there's just 3 games left, so let's all fan it up and cheer on our Bucks. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe, especially if you are a fellow Bucks believer. This is the place for you. I think that I've covered everything that I wanted to cover, so that's going to be it for me. Ladies and gentlemen, I will see you all again very soon.